Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Too Busy. I worked as security for a popular phone company in the Dublin city centre. It's the flagship store, and it gets very busy. We have this one guy, I'll call Mark. He's rude, entitled, and ignorant. He comes in one day when there's a queue of maybe 6 people and walks right past it. I call him, he stops, and I tell him to join the queue. He tells me he's too busy and needs to speak with someone. I'm about to approach him when the manager looks at me and gives me a reassuring nod. He's got this. So Mark walks straight to the manager, who is clearly doing some managerial stuff. And the manager tells him to wait. He's clearly busy. It's Ramadan. The manager is fasting and in not a great mood. I'm waiting nearby because I can feel this is going to kick off. Because the manager is so hangry. And you can smell the food from the upstairs break room. I know the manager will probably kick off as bad as Mark will. I wait about 10 minutes. My eyes starting between the rest of the shop and the two would-be culprits. When I see the manager put his pen down and close the logbook thingy he was working on. Still looking down, he takes a deep breath and looks up with a smile. Mark steps forward and the manager puts his hand up. Not you. I served the ones in the queue first. He says in his sternest but most professional voice. Fine, is all Mark can say, giving me a serious amount of side-eye. At this point, the queue had grown to over 15 people. I had to move away from that side of the shop to keep an eye on everything else. Mark looks at me and I tell him, again, to join the queue. No, I'm okay, is all he manages to get out. Fine then. Wait outside the queue. Every time the manager finishes with a customer, Mark takes a step forward, only to be rebuffed by a hand wave. The manager alternates between this and directly addressing the next customer to come to him. Mark won't go to the other member of staff, because she has made an absolute show of him in public. Mark is a creep, and up until then was barely tolerated by staff. He knows better than to try her. So Mark waits, and waits. People come and go. Mark sighs loudly every time the queue grows. He mutters something every time the manager tells him to wait. 40 minutes go by, and the queue is down to one person. It's just me, Mark, the other staff member, and the customer. He is fuming. His face is pure red, and he is clenching his fists. I slowly walk near him and stand nearby. He knows to keep his mouth shut around me, so I watch him quietly burn in impotent rage, like an incense cone. The customer leaves, and he stomps to the staff member, who gives him a look and says, "What? This woman has negative time for him and less patience. She's a lovely woman and a great member of staff otherwise." This is just how bad Mark is. Mark starts to blather on about an issue. The staff sits there for 5 minutes and lets him rant. It's vaguely offensive, but he knows better than to insult the staff directly. When he finally finishes, she just tells him that's a contract issue and to ring the call center. Technically, she could have helped, but didn't have to. Mark gets mad. He demands the manager. A staff member that was working the floor goes up, takes his sweet time, comes back down with a cup of tea for himself and the other staff member, sits down and tells Mark the manager is on lunch. Cue a bunch of insults and slurs, and I asked him to leave. He squares up to me. He doesn't even reach my chest. I struggle to keep a straight face as the staff start giggling, and he slinks out. The last story is called Start at 9. Circa 2005, I switched jobs. The new job came with an awesome perk. 3 months working in Spain. I lived back then in Argentina. All expenses paid. Earning my salary plus an extremely generous per diem. For me, it was awesome. It meant that I would get pretty much the salary of a year in 3 months. Plus the opportunity to visit Europe and travel for the first time. The caveat was that the project was a nightmare. The consulting company that hired me had won a really big bank project and overpromised. We had to finish the project in a really impossible time frame. That's why I was going there. It was kind of an all-hands-on-deck situation. When I arrived there, working hours were ridiculous. 9 AM was the starting time, and we rarely left before 11 PM, sometimes even being there till 1 or 2 in the morning. I had no problem with that. I was living in a hotel. The only people I knew in the city were in the project as well, so we bonded over the situation. My colleagues were also really supportive. They made a point that I wasn't going to work on weekend and told me that we work hard enough Monday to Thursday, but on Friday afternoon you're going straight to the airport. You have to take on the opportunity to get to know Europe. We'll get by. The problem, as usual in this situation, was the project manager. We used to call him Sauron. He was a manager that took pride in saying, I started working in this company. I met my wife because of this company. I got married because of this company. I got divorced because of this company. I lived because of this company. He was middle management. So, yeah. Since the hours were really long, and pretty much everyone was exhausted from the night before, the tech team, minus Sauron, used to stroll down to a cafe down the street at 9:15 AM and have a hearty breakfast while we planned the day ahead. Team leaders were included, and it was kind of an impromptu and informal scrum meeting we held. One day, Sauron and I had a meeting with the client in the office. While I was there, the client said to Sauron, I'm gonna need this and that for this afternoon. And Sauron said, okay, I'll go down to the bullpen and ask someone for that. Be right back. Just keep on with the meeting and I'll join when I get back. But he never came back. The meeting finished with me and the client, and Sauron never came back. After the client left, 2 hours later, I went down and found that nobody was in the bullpen. Not a single soul. Not Sauron, nor the team. And then I heard screaming from one of the meeting rooms. I opened the door and found the whole team shouting at Sauron, and Sauron shouting back. Sauron was furious because the team was at the cafe. The team was furious because he had no right to be angry about that, since everybody worked an insane amount of overtime with no complaints. And Sauron said, I don't care. You are hired to start your work at 9 AM. You have to be here at your desk at that time. That's what we are paying you idiots for. One of the team leaders, seeing that this was going nowhere, said okay and ended the meeting. Sauron pretty much disappeared all day, having meetings and such. And then at 7 PM, we all left. Since Sauron asked us to work the hours they were paying us to work, we finished the shift and left. And we did that the next day. And the next one as well. We did it for a whole week. Sauron missed a couple of milestones and got an earful from the client and his bosses. Sauron realized his screw up. He became docile and never complained about anything else. Not the cafe meetings and not even about the seldom longer than usual lunch. We did work a lot more hours than what he was paying us for. But the environment became more relaxed. And Sauron made a point of trying to be at the bullpen the shortest time possible. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.